is a genre of books that I used to read a lot, and I have not been reading it lately. So I want to go in and see, with a stack of books, do I want to still keep them on my shelves, or is it time for them to move on? Welcome to this house of books. My name is Ashley, and on this channel I love to share all things books, and yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I literally just wrapped up another reading vlog. These were the books, so if you want to go check that video out, I will link it down below. Let's get into some books that might not keep my interest as much as it used to when I bought them, and I just haven't had a chance to read them. And that is historical fiction. I used to read a lot of historical fiction, but it is not a genre that I tend to gravitate towards anymore, and honestly, I'm just really burnt out on historical fiction. So I went through my shelves and picked out 10 historical fiction books, and I am going to read the first probably chapter of each and decide, am I going to keep it, or is it time for that book to move on? So let me go over the stack of books. I have a massive stack of World War II historical fiction, and that is probably the highest historical fiction subgenre that I'm kind of over. But before I get rid of books, I thought, let's give it a shot. Alright, so the first one that I have is Secrets of a Charmed Life by Susan Meisner. I've read one or two of her books before, and I did enjoy it. This has present-day Oxford, England, young American scholar, interviews an elderly woman about the war. And then 1940s England, okay, it's about the evacuation of children from London. This is what I'm going to start with first. But let's just go through all the books. I have two by this author. So I have The Winemaker's Wife by Kristen Harmel. I think I've read one of her books, and I have DNF'd another one of her books. So we will see. Again, dual timeline. Champagne, 1940, at the dawn of the Second World War. Inez is the young wife of Michael, and he owns a champagne house in France. And then the Germans invade. And then it is New York, 2019. Recently divorced Liv is at rock bottom when her French grandmother shows up unannounced, insisting that they go to Paris. And she has a story to share. So there's that one. The other one that I have by that same author is The Forest of Vanishing Stars, about a young woman who uses her knowledge of the wilderness to help Jewish refugees escape the Nazis until a secret from her past threatens everything. I mean, look, all of these sound really good, and I think that all of these are enjoyed by people, so I am not hating on these books at all. It is absolutely me that I need a break from historical fiction, and I don't have the shelf space to just hold on to books if they're not going to interest me. So this one, The Rose Code by Kate Quinn, I was just looking at my Goodreads and looking at ratings of books that I have that I want to read, and this has a really, really high rating. So I'm a little bit more interested to check this one out, and I think this was even on one of my TBRs maybe 2 months ago. 1940s. This, you are following female code breakers at Bletchley Park. I have watched a movie or short series about code breakers at Bletchley before, and I really enjoyed it. And this one does have really good ratings. So I'm more interested in this one. Then we have The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff. I've heard mixed things about this since I picked it up. All right, 1946 Manhattan, a remarkable story of friendship and courage centered around 3 women and a ring of female secret agents during World War II. So, there's that one. Then I have The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris, which I think is, I've heard really good things about this one. It's all me. All right, 1942, a Slovakian Jew is forcibly transported to the concentration camps at Auschwitz. It's discovered that he can speak several languages, and so is put to work as a tattooist, tasked with permanently marking his fellow prisoners. He witnesses horrific atrocities and barbarism, but also incredible acts of bravery and compassion. I mean, I don't doubt that this is a fantastic book. We'll see. And then my next one, I think it's my last World War II book, and I think that it has undertones of like fantasy, but this is Lovely War by Julie Berry. So in the perilous days of World Wars I and II, the gods held the fates and the hearts of 4 mortals in their hands. Oh, interesting. The story is told by Aphrodite, who must spin the tale or face judgment on Mount Olympus. And it's filled with hope and heartbreak, prejudice and passion, and reveals that through war is a formidable force. It's no match for the transcendent power of love. It is a teen book, which I haven't had the best luck with like teen and young adult lately, but we'll see. And then I have 3 others that they're not necessarily World War II, they're just historical fiction. So we have Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. Alright. Inspired by a true story, 2 families generations apart are forever changed by a heartbreaking injustice. Memphis, 1939. 12-year-old and her 4 younger siblings live on a shanty boat on the Mississippi River. Their father needs to rush their mother to the hospital one stormy night, so she is in charge until strangers arrive in force. Oh, that's right. So then all the children are put into an orphanage and are assured that they will be returned to their parents, but quickly realize the dark truth. At the mercy of the facility's cruel director, Rill, the girl, fights to keep her sisters and brother together in a world of danger and uncertainty. And then there is Present Day. Oh, it's based on a real-life scandal where a director of a Memphis-based adoption organization kidnapped and sold poor children to wealthy families all over the country. Interesting. All right, so there's that one. And then we have Surviving Savannah by Patty Callahan. So this is, oh, interesting. Okay, a luxury steamboat sank in 1838 with Savannah's elite on board. Their fates were forgotten until the wreck was found 100 years later, and now their stories are finally being told in this spellbinding novel. Interesting. Okay, there's that one. And then by the same author, we have Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan. That's right. Okay, so this is about C.S. Lewis's wife. And so, like, how does she have her own journey and voice when she's married to C.S. Lewis, who wrote Narnia? Masterful exploration of one of the greatest love stories of modern times. We meet a brilliant writer, a fiercely independent mother, and a passionate woman who changed the life of this respected author and inspired books that still enchant us and change us. She lived at a time when women weren't meant to have a voice, and yet her love for Jack gave them both voices that they didn't know they had. So that could be interesting. 10 books. I am going to start with Secrets of a Charmed Life. So I am not reading the whole thing now. That is my stack of books back there behind my drink that I have pulled off. I actually need to pull off one more because I just got the audio for. So this is just to let me know, do I want to put these books back on my shelves? On that note, I am going to curl up here. I don't know if I mentioned it in this vlog, because I just finished the other one. I just got new bedding, and so that's why the cat is very happy to try out the new bedding. And yeah, so I'm going to curl up and check this out. And let's see, how long is the first chapter? All right, the first chapter is 16 pages and it's one perspective. Chapter 2 goes into a different perspective and it takes us up to page 24. So I actually might read chapter 1 and 2 just to kind of get a feel for both of the narrators and just see. All right, let's get started. Done with this one. So I read the first 2 chapters. I don't think I'm going to hold on to this one. It definitely follows 2, young women, one in present day who is American and has been studying at Oxford, is about to finish up and head back to the US and gets this chance to interview a woman who has never spoken about the war before, but is going to open up her story with her. You're then in 1940s England, kind of during the Blitz. I don't know. The writing is just not grabbing me. And I think that's part of it. Like, I'm kind of over these types of stories. So while this might be a really good book, I'm just not interested in reading it anymore. One down, let's get to another one. All right, the next one that I'm going to pick up is The Winemaker's Wife. So again, dual timeline. I was just looking, the first 2 chapters, it does cover both of the women that you're following. It's not very long. So the first 2 chapters only goes to page 12. So if I am not sure, I might continue on for another chapter or 2, but I am going to start this one and check it out, and then I might have to pause because then I'm going to have to start making some dinner. But then I will be back for more. Last update for this. I made it about like 18 pages. I mean, I was slightly interested, but not enough that I think that I would want to pick this up anytime soon. So I think that I'm going to get rid of this one as well. 2 down, 8 to go. I have to go kind of get some dinner going, but I will be back to talk about more of the books soon. All right, I am here for a reading update. I am not going to return this one to the shelves as well as this one, but I have my first keep. I am going to keep The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I think my main thing is that I'm kind of over these types of stories. I will say that this one started a little bit differently. I don't know that Kristen Hermel is the author for me. I don't know how to word this and make it not come off bad because I am very much so for strong female main characters. I'm kind of just over how they are written and portrayed in like World War II historical fiction books, if that makes sense. So those are going, and I have my first keep, which kind of looks nice here on my bed. All right, that's my update. All right, it has been a few days since I have been able to sit down and try out any more of these historical fiction books, but I have a little bit of time. I have finished editing some other videos for this channel and my homeschool channel. Homeschool planning is done for this week, and my husband has taken my kids out for haircuts. So I have a little bit of time, and I sat down and picked up both of the books that I had pulled out from Patty Callahan. I also know she goes by Patty Callahan Henry as well. And I have read, I can't remember the name of it. It's Once Upon a Wardrobe, I believe. But it deals with a young woman who's at Oxford, and she has a sick brother who is just enthralled with all the Narnia books from C.S. Lewis. And so she is able to befriend C.S. Lewis and get to know his backstory and everything. It was a fantastic book. I really, really liked it. It's a good, like, winter read and everything. So, I already had high hopes going into these. Also, they are not World War II, except, like, Becoming Mrs. Lewis, I think, deals with, like, right after the war, at least in the beginning, and then kind of takes off from there. I definitely am going to be keeping these on my shelves. I'm interested in reading them and seeing more what they are about at a later point. So that leaves me with 3 books left. 2 of them are still World War II, and 1 is not. So I'm going to see how many more I can get through right now before some family gets back. I was actually able to sit here and finish the rest of the books really quickly. So I am going to be getting rid of Lovely War by Julie Berry. It just is not a story that interests me. It reminds me too much of, I can't remember the name of it, I'll put the name of it here, where, you know, it's kind of based around World War II, but there's gods and everything, and I just didn't like that. This one definitely says that it is teen. I just don't have an interest to read it. So, I'm not. But I am going to keep 2 others. So I am going to keep The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. I have read other books by Kate Quinn. I have read, hang on, let me look. All right, I've read The Alice Network and, oh my gosh, I'm not good at remembering names of books right now. The other one following a female sniper. So she does write a lot of World War II. But this one has amazing ratings, and I'm interested to kind of read more about the Bletchley Park Codebreakers. So I am going to keep this one. I am also going to be keeping Before We Were Yours. This is not World War II. It does take place more in like the Depression era and children being taken from poor families and sold to rich families. So I am more interested in picking this one up. It is not a newer book. Let's see, when did this come out? Yeah, 2017. But I am definitely interested in picking this one up and reading this story. So let me pause and get all the other books, and I will talk about what is staying and what is going. I don't feel like going and getting my camera stand, so you'll just have to deal with me holding my book. So I started this with 10 books, and I am going to be getting rid of 5. So I feel like that's pretty good. Again, there's nothing horribly wrong with any of these books. I think all of them have like 4 stars or higher on Goodreads. So people do read them and love them. It's just a me thing. In fact, yeah, the 5 books that I'm getting rid of are all World War II historical fiction. So I am going to be getting rid of Secrets of a Charmed Life by Susan Meisner. Both of the Kristen Harmel books, so The Winemaker's Wife and The Forest of Vanishing Stars. So those are both going to be going. I am also going to be getting rid of The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff. And lastly, The Lovely War by Julie Berry. So, but I am keeping 2 World War II books. But I think that the World War II books that I'm keeping have just a little bit of a different perspective that will make it really interesting to read. So, The Rose Code by Kate Quinn and The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. And then the non-World War II historical fictions that I'm keeping, both of the ones from Patty Callahan, so Becoming Mrs. Lewis and Surviving Savannah. And then the last one, Before We Were Yours. So, this was kind of fun just to kind of really go through my shelves and try to narrow them down a little bit more. So I think on that note, that's where I'm going to be ending this vlog. Thank you so much for coming along on this. Out of the books that I'm keeping, let me know down in the comments which one should I pick up first. As always, if you like this or anything else that I post here on this channel, make sure to like and subscribe down below, and I will be back for more soon.